Hello, my name is Leah Sugarman. Welcome to your YIN practice. For this practice, you'll want to have at least one yoga block, but if you don't have a yoga block, no worries. You can use a thick book or even a rolled up towel or blanket or a really firm cushion or pillow. So grab that, and whenever you're ready, start in a seated position. So you're welcome to use your prop if you'd like to elevate your hips and get really cozy and comfortable in your seat. Strive to have your hips just slightly above your knees so that you can create this very subtle tilt of your pelvis, tipping forward, so that you can then lift the weight of your spine up out of your pelvis to really create lots of length in your back body. So find that really comfortable seat, whatever it looks like for you. You can sit cross-legged, you could sit onto your heels, you could sit with your heels pointing back and your knees pointing forward in like a hero's pose position. So find the position that feels best for you. And then when you find it, relax the weight of your shoulders. Either soften your gaze, maybe look down toward the floor, or close your eyes completely. And just take a moment to settle into your body. Let the weight of your pelvis and your legs become really heavy and ground down toward the floor. And then feel the opposition of the sense of buoyancy in your spine as it lifts up toward the sky. Soften and relax the muscles in your face. And then bring your awareness inside. Draw your attention to your breath. And just observe its natural rhythm. You now just decide if you like this rhythm, then keep it. If you'd prefer to deepen the rhythm or slow its pace, then make whatever adjustments you'd like to now to find a really slow, relaxed, steady pace to your breath. And let your breath just become the metronome of your practice, always providing a nice, consistent beat for you to follow. And once you feel really connected to your breath, keep that steady pace as you refocus your gaze or flutter open your eyes. Now, if you are seated on a prop, you're welcome to stay up on it. If you would prefer, you could release it from underneath you, so you get to decide. And then from here, draw the soles of your feet to touch and open your knees out wide. So again, you get to determine how far or how close you'd like your feet to be from your pelvis. You could be further away in more of a diamond shape, or you could be closer in towards your pelvis. So you decide what feels good for you. And then lift and lengthen your back body. Take your fingertips back behind your hips and gently root down into your fingertips to grow a little bit taller through your spine. And just notice how this subtle little shift of the back body creates a gentle tilt of your pelvis as it tips forward in space. And you could keep this tilt if it feels nice. If you prefer, you could even round your lower back and tip backwards. So you can kind of play around with that tilt of the pelvis to find what feels good for you. Now you could stay here, and maybe you'd prefer to release your palms to the floor and kind of round into your back body as you lean your weight back. Maybe this feels nice for you. You also have the option to walk your hands forward and round into your back body as you fold forward over your legs. So again, you could play around with placing a prop underneath your seat. Maybe you want to place a prop in front of you to relax your forehead onto. Maybe you'd like to place that prop onto your body to be a little bit closer into you, a little bit higher up. So you can play around and find the most soothing and relaxing position for you. So find a position that's about maybe 60 to 80% of your maximum capacity. So you don't want to move into your deepest stretch possible, but find a really comfortable edge that you can play with. Because in yin, you will hold the pose for a period of time, and time will always intensify sensations. So just find a position that feels like a good place that you can find, that feels sustainable, that you can relax into for a period of time. And then when you find that place, commit to stay in stillness there. Of course, you could always break that stillness if you want to back out a little bit, or if you want to move in a little bit deeper. So you always have the option to change the stillness. But if you find a really comfortable place, then strive to stay in stillness there. And if you'd like to, you can soften your gaze or close your eyes. And give yourself permission to soften into the pose. The more you're able to relax your musculature, the more the yin practice can affect the more subtle yin tissues. So when you hold for some time, you might notice that perhaps your edge has changed a little bit. So maybe you find out really quickly that you went in a bit too deep. And so you maybe want to back out a little bit and reposition. Maybe you feel like you need a little bit more sensation and you'd like to fold in a little bit deeper, perhaps. So if you need to, then feel free to adjust your edge. And then whenever you find yourself back in a really comfortable shape, recommit to find stillness there. And commit to stay in this place for some time. So as you hold for time, reestablish your connection with your breath. Notice any changes that may have come up there. And reconnect to that slow, steady pace. So take 3 more breaths here. And then on your next inhale, if you folded, slowly draw yourself back up to sit. You can move any props over toward the side of your mat. Catch a hold behind your knees. Draw your knees back in toward each other. Plant your feet to the floor. And take your hands back behind you. Lean your weight back into your hands and walk your feet out roughly as wide as your mat. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, slowly release both knees over toward your left. Inhale, come back to center. Bring your knees back to point up toward the sky. And then exhale, slowly release both knees over toward your right. Inhale, come back to center. And exhale, release to the left. Now you can continue moving slowly like this. If you want to slow it down even more, you certainly could. If you want to pick up the pace, you certainly could. So just find a nice counter position that feels good for you. Windshield wipering your legs from side to side. Take one more breath in each direction, so even yourself out. And then when you feel ready, stretch your legs forward in front of you. Find a comfortable seat. So as always, you're welcome to sit up onto your block and elevate your hips or your towel or pillow or blanket or whatever you have. And then from here, cross your right leg over your left. Now, this might feel like enough of a stretch through your outer right hip, so you're more than welcome to stay here. If you would like to, you can catch a hold of your right ankle and then bend your right knee deeply to draw your right heel towards your outer left hip and stack your knees over each other. Now there might be a really big gap between your knees. You could always slide some prop in between them and stack them in between. You could always just leave that gap. You could elevate your hips even higher to help alleviate that gap as well. Now here, you're welcome to stay if you'd like, or option to bend into your left knee and draw your left heel into your outer right hip. So again, find the positioning that feels really sustainable for some time. And remember that time will always intensify sensations. So again, you could be elevated onto a prop. You could have props between your knees or underneath your knees. Maybe you'd prefer to use the prop later, so you can play around with what feels best for you. And then again, take your fingertips back behind you and ground down into your palms to lift and lengthen your spine. Keep your right fingertips as they are and draw your left hand to your right knee. Inhale, grow tall through your back body, and exhale, spiral and twist your whole torso toward the right. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, spin your heart open toward the right. Inhale deeply here. And as you exhale, slowly unwind your twist, come back to center. Again, take both fingertips back behind you, elongate your back body. Option to stay here. Option to plant your palms to the floor, and they can point in any direction that you'd like. And you could keep an elongation through your back body. You could start to round your spine and maybe kind of hunch your shoulders forward, if that feels nice. Option to stay here, or option to walk your hands forward in space and soften the weight of your body down toward the floor. Maybe you'd like to grab a prop and place it underneath your head. Maybe you'd prefer to allow your head to just dangle, or maybe you want to make fists with your hands, place your head on top of that or under a prop. So you can play around with what feels most comfortable for you. So again, find this really comfortable edge, this position that's not your deepest stretch ever, but where you start to feel maybe just the beginning sensations of a stretch. And then know that once you stay there for some time, those sensations will intensify. So wherever you choose to be, feel free to relax your head and neck if that feels comfortable for you. Maybe you'd like to close your eyes or soften your gaze. And commit to stay in stillness for some time. Reconnect with your breath. Come back to that smooth, steady rhythm. So if you need to, you could check in with your edge. You could always back out. Or if you feel you need to, you could go deeper as well. And if you change your edge, just recommit to stillness when you find a more appropriate place. And recommit to stay for some time. Take 3 more breaths. On your next inhale, if you fold it forward, slowly, mindfully rise back up. If your hands are not already there, reach them back behind you and lean your weight into your hands so that you can stretch and extend your legs forward in front of you. So maybe you'd like to just bend into your knees and kind of bounce your legs against the mat. Maybe you'd like to gently tap along the meridian lines running up and down the sides of your legs. And these are the meridians from traditional Chinese medicine, which we definitely target in the yin practice. Maybe you'd like to swing your legs open and close into external rotation and internal rotation. So feel free to move your legs around however you'd like to release that last position. And then when you're ready, come back into a comfortable seat with your legs extended forward in front of you. So as always, you're welcome to elevate your hips and sit up onto a prop. You're welcome to stay seated on the floor. So find what best suits you right now. And then cross your left leg over your right. Option to stay here or option to bend into your left knee and draw your left heel into your outer right hip and stack your knees on top of each other. Option to place a prop between them. Option to stay here or option to bend into your right knee and draw your heel towards your outer left hip. Again, you're welcome to elevate your hips to make this more accessible. You could place props between your knees or underneath your knees, so find the positioning that works best for you, whichever option feels best in your body today. And then from here, take your fingertips back behind you, ground down gently into your fingers to lift and lengthen your spine. And keep your left hand as it is, draw your right hand to rest over your left knee. And inhale, elongate your back body. Exhale, spiral and twist your torso toward the left. Inhale, grow a little bit taller through your spine. And exhale, spin and rotate to the left. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, slowly unwind your twist. Take both fingertips back behind you. Ground down into your fingers to elongate your back. Option to stay here, option to release your palms flat to the floor. You could keep your spine lengthened, or maybe it feels nicer to round your back body, kind of hunch back toward your hands, round your shoulders forward. Option to stay here, or option to walk your hands forward in front of you and fold forward over your legs as you round through your back body. So as always, you could play around with your prop, finding a position that feels nice for you to soften and relax over. And find an edge that feels appropriate here, something that feels sustainable when you begin to hold for time. So find a position that's not your deepest stretch, but maybe the place where you just start to feel the sensation of stretch, maybe like this gentle tug beneath your skin. And then when you find that place, commit to stay in stillness there. If it feels good for your neck, you're welcome to release your chin towards your chest. Let your head hang heavy. And as you soften into this place of stillness, commit to stay for some time. Reestablish your connection with your breath. Notice if your edge has changed at all, and feel free to break your stillness if you'd like to back out or move deeper into the pose. And take 3 more full deep breaths. If you fold it forward, slowly draw your torso back up. And if your hands are not there already, reach them back behind you. Lean your weight back into your hands so that you can stretch your legs forward in front of you. And then take your prop with you and find your way onto your back. From here, bend your knees and plant your feet onto the floor. And maybe this feels like a nice counter stretch as you visualize the weight of your thigh bones drawing in towards your pelvis. Maybe you'd like to bend your knees deeply and hug them in towards your chest. Maybe you'd like to sway your hips gently from side to side or circle your knees. So take any little movements here that feel nice for you, that feel appropriate to release your last position. And then when you feel ready, release your feet down onto the floor, roughly hip distance apart, and just visualize your knees aligning over your ankles. No need to look and make sure that's happening, but just approximate where that might be. And then ground down firmly into your feet so that you can lift your hips up off the floor and slide your prop, whatever it is, your block, a rolled up towel or blanket, a thick book, whatever you have, and relax the weight of your pelvis onto that prop. And then let yourself surrender over it. So you can have that on any height setting that you'd like. You may wish to stay lower because, again, time will intensify sensations. But of course, you can always find that position that feels like the best edge for you in this moment. Find the place that feels really appropriate and sustainable, and then soften there. So you can relax your arms wherever they feel comfortable. Maybe you want to release them down by your sides, or rest them over your belly or your rib cage. Just find the positioning that feels nice for you right now. And you're welcome to stay like this with your knees bent and your feet grounded. Or if you'd like to, you could perhaps straighten into one leg at a time and release your heel to the floor. Maybe if it feels nice for you, you could straighten into both legs simultaneously and release your heels to the floor. But again, just recognize if this causes any sort of discomfort in your lower back, then keep your knees bent. So again, find an edge that feels really appropriate for you, where you can allow the full weight of your pelvis to kind of melt down toward the floor, melt down over your prop. Relax the weight of your whole upper body down toward the floor. Relax the weight of your legs. Maybe close your eyes or soften your gaze so you can relax everything completely as you draw your awareness inward. And bring your awareness back to your breath. So again, commit to some stillness here. Commit to stay for some time. And if you're straightening one leg at a time, then now would be a good time to switch the legs. If your edge has changed at all, you can reposition yourself however you need to. And as you surrender into this stillness within your physical body, observe how this stillness can translate into your mind. Take another 3 deep breaths. And if your legs are straight, slowly bend into your knees. Plant your feet onto the floor so that you can root down into your feet. Lift your hips up away from your prop. Slide it out from underneath you and soften your pelvis back down to the floor. Walk your feet out roughly as wide as your mat and allow your knees to knock in toward each other. Surrender the weight of your lower back down toward the mat. If this feels good for you, you're welcome to stay here. If you'd like to, if it's calling to you, you could draw your knees into your chest, give yourself a big hug. If it feels good, you could sway your hips from side to side. So give your body any little movements that it's craving here, whatever they may be. And then whenever you feel ready, stretch and extend your legs out long forward in front of you. Relax your arms down by your sides. Sink the weight of your full body into the mat. Soften your gaze or close your eyes completely. And allow your full body weight to just melt into the floor. Reconnect with your breath. Reestablish its slow rhythm. And allow yourself to fully surrender into this final resting pose, Savasana. And feel free to stay here for as long as time allows today. Allow yourself to fully relax and absorb the many benefits of your practice. Thank you so much for sharing your practice. Namaste.